Do you think you know Greece? You know about the Parthenon, the 6,000 islands, the sun, and feta cheese. But how well do you really know your country when I tell you that we have a real desert, that we communicate with whistles, and that our capital has more theaters than New York? Sit back and relax, because today we're going to see 30 amazing things about Greece that 99% of Greeks don't know. Part 1. Geography that breaks stereotypes. We're not just islands. 80% of Greece is mountainous. We are one of the most mountainous countries in all of Europe, even though the whole world thinks of us as an endless ocean. In fact, the Pindus mountain range acts as the natural backbone that separated ancient Greece into isolated city-states. We even have a real desert. In Limnos, there are the thick sand dunes, a true miniature of the Sahara with sand hills that change shape from the wind in the middle of the northern Aegean. It covers about 70 acres, looks like a movie set, and hosts rare flora such as the white sand lilies. The Guinness record of Epirus. The Vikos Gorge in Zagorochoria holds the Guinness record as the deepest gorge in the world in proportion to its width. It reaches a depth of 900 meters while its opening is extremely narrow, creating a breathtaking geological wonder. The Abyss of the Mediterranean. The deepest point of the entire Mediterranean is located in Greece. It is called the Enoussis Deep or Calypso Deep. It is located southwest of Pylos and has a depth of 5,267 meters. It is the point where the African tectonic plate sinks beneath the Eurasian plate, which also causes our frequent earthquakes. Greek fjords. You don't need to go to Norway. In Gera, Laconia, there is an amazing natural fjord that goes deep into the land. In the past, it was the perfect hideout for pirates, as it is completely invisible from the open sea. Zero navigable rivers. We are one of the very few countries in the world that, due to our mountainous terrain, do not have a single river where commercial ships can travel. Unlike the Rhine or the Danube, our rivers are fast-flowing, shallow, and rocky, perfect for rafting but impossible for trade. Part 2. Secrets of Antiquity and Monuments. The Parthenon has no straight lines. There is not a single perfectly straight line in the Parthenon. The ancients used entasis, slightly curving the columns to trick the human eye. Even the floor is slightly arched in the center. If you put a hat on one end, you can't see it from the other. The world's first computer, the Antikythera mechanism, was not just a clock, it was an analog computer 1,000 years ahead of its time. It was discovered by sponge divers in 1901 and used a complex system of bronze gears to predict eclipses and track the Olympic Games decades in advance. In Evia, there are 23 massive stone structures. They are made from boulders weighing tons, without any mud at all. The massive roof slabs balance, defying gravity, and to this day, no archaeologist knows with absolute certainty who built them or how they lifted those stones. The first coin of Europe. The first European coin ever minted with a specific design or logo was the turtle of Aegina, around the middle of the 6th century BC. The sea turtle was the ultimate symbol of the island's immense naval and commercial power at that time. The oldest capital. Athens is the oldest capital in Europe. It has been continuously inhabited for at least 3,000 years. At a time when other major European capitals were just forests or swamps, Athens already had an organized society, trade, and was laying the foundations of democracy. The magic of vowels. The Greek alphabet was the first in world history to introduce vowels. The Phoenicians, from whom we took the letters, wrote only with consonants. The Greeks took the symbols, modified them, added vowels, and made writing and reading infinitely easier and more democratic. Part 3. Culture, Tradition, and Paradoxes. The Village That Whistles. In the village of Antia in Evia, the residents communicate by whistling, a real language made entirely of whistles, so they can be heard from one mountain peak to another. Unfortunately, today only a handful of elderly people know how to speak it, making it one of the most endangered languages on the planet. Champions in cheese. Forget the French. Greeks consume more cheese than anyone else in the world, eating about 23 to 25 kilos of cheese per person every year. The largest percentage of this is, of course, feta, which is almost never absent from the Greek table. Broadway versus Athens. Athens has more theatre stages, over 140, than the legendary West End of London or Broadway in New York. Especially in winter, the city fills with experimental, classical, and modern performances, proving that the ancient DNA of drama is alive and thriving. A monster word. The longest word in the world, according to the Guinness Book of Literature, is Greek. It appears in Aristophanes' Ecclesiazusai, has 171 letters, and is essentially a cooking recipe. It describes a dish with fish, meats, and anything else you can imagine, and it takes about 15 seconds just to pronounce it without taking a breath. The evil eye is official. The ritual to ward it off is not just a grandmother's superstition. The evil eye is officially recognized as a spiritual phenomenon by the Greek Orthodox Church. In fact, there are specific official prayers for its healing, as it is considered a form of negative energy that comes from intense envy. We dance non-stop. In Greece, more than 4,000 different traditional dances have been recorded, originating from every corner of the country. From the intense warlike Pontic dances to the heavy Zibekiko and the island Syrtos, each region has its own rhythm that tells its own story. We live forever. Ikaria is one of the 5 famous blue zones of the planet. These are places where people break longevity records and consistently live past 100 years old. Their secret is zero stress, afternoon naps, lots of walking uphill, local wine, and a Mediterranean diet from their own gardens. There's a museum on every corner. Greece has the highest number of archaeological museums per capita in the entire world. From the huge national museums to the small collections on remote islands and mountain villages, literally every square kilometer hides ancient history. Part 4: Modern Wonders and Greek DNA Everywhere. The bridge that moves. The Rio Antirio Bridge is not just a cable-stayed bridge, it is built on an active fault line. Its pylons rest on a layer of gravel, allowing it to slide and absorb massive earthquakes. In fact, the bridge is constantly expanding and contracting. Dominant of the oceans. Even though we are a small country, the Greek-owned merchant fleet controls over 20% of the total capacity of commercial ships worldwide. If Greek ships stopped sailing tomorrow morning, the global supply chain of oil and goods would collapse within a few weeks. He saved millions of women. The famous PIEPI test, which has literally saved millions of women's lives from cervical cancer, was invented by the Greek doctor Georgios Papanikolaou. Although he initially faced enormous skepticism from the medical community, today it is a global routine examination, making him one of the greatest benefactors of humanity. The Mini Cooper speaks Greek. The legendary British small car, the classic Mini, was designed by a Greek from the Diaspora, Alek Isigonis. He designed it on a napkin in 1956, trying to create a small, economical car that could fit 4 adults due to the fuel crisis in Suez. Greek borders in the USA, Canada. The strait that separates the state of Washington in the USA from Vancouver in Canada is called the Juan de Fuca Strait. Juan was actually the Cephalonian navigator Ioannis Phocas, who served the Spanish crown, and the Spanish simply translated his name, hiding his Greek origin for centuries. The Kalymnos of Florida. There is a city in Florida, Tarpon Springs, which was built by sponge divers from Kalymnos in the early 1900s. Today, if you walk there, you feel like you're in the Dodecanese. You hear Greek everywhere, you eat authentic souvlaki, and during Epiphany they throw the cross into the water just like in Greece. The Olympic rings are not ancient. Many people think that the 5 Olympic circles were a symbol in ancient Olympia. Wrong, they were designed in 1913 by Pierre de Coubertin. The myth that they are ancient started when an American film crew carved the rings into a stone in Delphi in 1930 and left it there. A huge different Greece. It is estimated that over 5 million Greeks live outside of Greece. From Melbourne, which is the 3rd largest Greek city in the world, to Astoria in New York, the Hellenism of the diaspora keeps our language and traditions alive, creating a nation with the population of Norway. The oldest living language. The Greek language holds the world record for the longest continuous recorded history of any Western language, over 3,400 years. What's impressive is that a modern Greek can read and understand much of the original texts of the New Testament or even Homer. Artificial snow with a sea view. At the Chelmos ski resort in Kalavrita, If you go up to the highest peak, Doraci, at 2,340 meters, you can ski while at the same time looking at the waters of the Corinthian Gulf. It is one of the few places in the world where the mountain snow seems to meet the endless blue of the sea. In the end, we live in a country that is a huge open museum full of surprises that even we ourselves don't know about. Which of the 30 facts left you speechless? Did you know about the desert of Limnos or the Whistling Village? Write your impressions in the comments. If you learned something new today, hit like and subscribe to Diaspora so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. Thank you for watching this video as well. Until next time, take care, have a great time, and keep thinking freely.